Good morning. Thursday morning, we have bench press today. I'm looking forward to this session. It's been a while since I've had a good bench session due to several primary issues. The one being scapular control. I've had some asymmetrical activation issues for the last little while, and lately it's been feeling like that's been closing up, thankfully, which is great, which usually means good bench sessions. I can get in my head a bit when I've got one side of the bar maybe accelerating a little bit faster than the other, or just feeling not particularly stable and powerful. Sort of difficult to well, you just don't enjoy the session as much. So hopefully today will not be one of those sessions. I'm going to select for some particular movements in my warm-up that will hopefully facilitate a nice strong bench press session. The style of program that I've been going with, this will be week 2. I've used this style of training for a long time, but I'm doing it in a slightly different style. I like a lot of what we learned from the conjugate system. Some of the guys out of the West Side, Powerlifting Sphere, they added some really cool ideas, or rather extracted some ideas from Russian lifters and strength coaches. And their programs utilize, at least pertaining to today anyways, they utilize a lot of heavy lifts and then repetition lifts. That's useful because it trains multiple energy systems, shorter rest or shorter sets, usually indicating larger neurological activation. The shorter the set, the heavier the weight I can choose. I particularly like this style of training because it utilizes 2 primary approaches to lifting. Sets that are focusing on moving heavy weights for few reps and moving lower weights for more reps. It's nice because it's the heavy weights are going to focus on like primarily neurological activation, their robust neurological stimulus. This is usually what's a good target to have if you want to get strong. Strength is usually, although a combination of growing muscle and improving your nervous system's ability to recruit as many muscle fibers as possible. Strength training primarily focuses on the latter. I want to teach my nervous system to activate as many motor units as I can, turn on as many muscle cells as possible in a short amount of time. This is what you see with people who can jump high and lift large loads. Their muscles are all able to fire sort of synchronously. You get a large symphony of activity. It's coordinated, which is often the one of the main areas of actual adaptation and response, is your brain's ability to coordinate activation of large pools of neurons and subsequently those muscle fibers. So that's our first focus, is to lift heavy, try to get everything to turn on all at the same time and coordinated. And I'll follow those heavy sets up with higher rep sets. So now I get to focus a little bit more on substrate development, substrate being the actual tissue, the muscle fibers themselves. We train those. You can train them in a number of ways, but the way I like to do it after following heavy sets is sets of anywhere from 6 to 12, depending on the movement and how heavy I'm going. But anything around there in that range, the 6 to 12 rep range, it's going to cause a little bit, or it's going to bias muscular breakdown if I've selected the weight efficiently and well. If I've selected that load well, be less of a neurological and more of a physiological response. I'm not sure if that delineation really means much. pertaining to this conversation and beyond. But by training a heavy or using a heavy load and then a light load with larger rep schemes, I'm able to hit or get two birds stoned at once. Develop some strength, or at least impose some stimulus for strength development, and then impose some stimulus for muscular development. Because a big muscle is often a stronger muscle. And if I'm pairing those two approaches, particularly in one session, it doesn't have to be in one session. I just like doing it like that, where you've paired a intensity focused stimulus, that being a high weight, and then a high repetition focus. Just gonna sort of satisfy both of those goals of mine: develop strength and develop muscular size. So I will, that's today's approach. I've got two main movements, first being a bench press and second being a pull-up. I'll utilize both heavy weights and followed by higher reps in those, and then my accessories will primarily be higher weights, or higher reps, sorry, to just bias a little bit more muscular development, get a more of a physiological adaptation there, just build a little bit more endurance and tack on that substrate stimulus. So that's today's goal. I'm looking forward to it. Sleep was okay last night. I would say I'm feeling about a 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. So I'm hoping that's going to reflect in a 7 to 10, 7 to 8 out of 10 workout. We'll see though. Let's get to it. I'll see you guys on the other side. My goodness. Sweatpants were a bad idea. It's funny, my gym is about 20 minutes from my house, which in my city is the other end of the city. And it's amazing how different the weather is from one side to the other. It's much warmer over here. It's nice, helps with your exercise, but afterwards it takes a minute to cool back down and return to a bit of a familiar homeostasis. The session went well, however, the in-brief was too ironic. And I was talking about how heavy weights will drive a stimulus to develop coordination, muscular coordination, and making those the muscle units and motor units fire all together synchronously. And as you'll see from the clips, those top sets were anything but synchronous and coordinated. But reminding myself, just like on Tuesday, or the last training session, I'm early on in this program, and it's going to take a few weeks to kick my body back into that coordinated, powerful state that I'm used to being in while training consistently. Cut all this. All in all, though, the session went fairly well. I managed a top set of 265 pounds on flat bench press for a total of 3 repetitions. Although certainly not the cleanest reps, and not reps that I'm overly enthusiastic about, but stimulating nonetheless, and I think they will pay dividends for the weeks to come. I think that session was really great. It woke some things up that haven't really been awake for quite some time, and I feel good. I don't feel too tapped out. The rep work was a little more challenging, as it often is. And I wanted to just briefly talk about some interset motivation or some goals that I have that differ between that Alactic sort of short work time, high weight, low rep, early work, and how those motivations differ from what I want to have in my mind going forward into the higher rep sets. And they're quite different, mostly because I want to extract a different adaptation, and by setting an intention and modulating my approach, I think I'm able to extract more out of that. So with my heavy weight work, my goal is to have the set last roughly as short as possible. I want to move the weight as quickly as I can, as safely as I can. That often means the eccentric. So for bench press on my way down, I'm still wanting to keep that weight very stable. I want it to be not shaking on me or moving a whole lot. And I want the concentric, the press up, to be as rapid and powerful as I can muster. And by having that goal, it drives a bit of top-down processing that is going to robustly activate those motor units a little bit more than I would if I went into the set not thinking about having those weights move as quickly as I can on the way up. By having that goal, it facilitates larger recruitment, and it feels like it. If I want to jump high, I'm going to think about jumping high, and my height is going to be proportional to how many motor units I'm able to recruit quickly and synchronously. Same thing goes for lifting heavy. So by having that goal of, I want to control this safely on the way down and load it like a spring, and then on the way up I want it to be as violent, as quick as I can muster, That's a top-down strategy to recruit more motor units and elicit a larger neurological stimulus, with the hopes that the next session and the subsequent sessions, I will have an easier time generating that much force against the same weight, and hopefully similar, or at least rapid development of speed with higher weights. That's what strength is, essentially. And now that motivation differs from what I use to approach my higher rep sets. Those sets, I'm trying to break down the muscle tissue as much as possible. So instead of moving quickly, I'm actually going to slow things down, especially for the eccentrics, the negative portion of the lift, where I'm going down where the muscle tissue is actually starting to stretch and tear. I want to spend as much time as I can in that state where the tissue is being slowly ripped apart. That's going to promote a large physiological stimulus. I'm going to sort of render the guts of those muscle cells and open the muscle cells up and expose all those intracellular proteins to my extracellular space, and that's what's going to actually promote a immune response to grow the muscle. Sort of the other parts of the body need to know the muscle has been broken down, and one of the ways to do that is to actually expose the internal proteins of the muscle cell and get those transcription factors and everything that's happening outside the nucleus to communicate with everything outside the muscle cell. Signals to my brain and body that there's been some damage here, and I'm going to get sort of that paramedic-like immune response. Everything's going to come in, these proteins and immune cells are going to come in and clean the mess up and promote some genetic changes such that the next time this happens, my body will be a little bit more adept at removing that waste. And maybe another response is that my body's actually going to grow more tissue, such that if I were to do that same job again in a recovered state, it would be that much easier. And that's what getting stronger in a bodybuilding sense is. So that's my goal with that. And so those are the two motivations that I'm going to approach those working sets with, and how they differ between Alactic and substrate development work. So I hope you guys enjoyed that session. Very middle of the road session, which seems to happen more often than not. But I've got tempered expectations coming into the next few weeks of training anyways, just allowing my body to warm up and get back to what it's used to being able to do and what it's used to doing. So this is one of those sessions. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.